Hello friends, in our last lecture we have seen adding a buffer analysis functionality to our web mapping application. Today we will extend the same Spatial Query dialog box to support intersecting and completely within kind of analysis. So it is following the same philosophy, allowing us the layer to select on which we want to fire a query and then selection parameter whether it is buffer, intersecting or completely within, and then we can provide the user inputs. So let me show you how it works. So here what I want to do is I want to select all the districts which are shown here with a blue line, and I want to select the district which are intersecting with the user inputs. So let me zoom in a bit into a particular area, and now I am providing the user inputs. First of all, I will provide the point marker as the input. So with this button I am clicking here. So this is yellow is the user input, and as a result we should expect that it should select this particular district polygon. So let me execute that file, and you can see over here this district polygon is selected which is intersecting with this point marker. Now let me clear this thing and let me work out with a line marker as the input, and my selection criteria is intersecting. So if I zoom out a bit, and then let me provide the line marker. So I'll use the same button, and then let me draw a line, a random line. So I have digitized a line like this, so it is with a yellow marker, you can see. And now let me execute the query. So now when I run the query, you can see that all the district polygons which are intersected by this particular line are highlighted with a cyan color. So this is how intersecting works. Similarly, for polygon as the input, I can again select the same user input. I can digitize the polygon of any random shape, and once I complete digitization, I can run the query, and then you can see over the map again polygons which are intersecting with user inputs are highlighted with a cyan color. So this is all about how intersecting query works. Now let me clear this thing, zoom out a bit, and then let us see how completely within works. Now as you can clearly understand that completely within works when the user input is polygon. It will not work with the line and point. So I am keeping polygon marker as a user input, and this time I want to select all the cities which are available on the map with a red marker. Now let me draw a polygon. So I am drawing a polygon, any random shaped polygon. So it's like this. So I should expect that system will select all the red points which are completely within this user input polygon. So let me execute this query, and you can see all the points, all the cities which are completely within the user inputs are selected. So this is how it works. So I have developed a code for this. So now we will go into the details how code is developed. So let us go to the coding part. So we will start with the HTML. You know that last time we have designed the user input form. So this is the same user input form. This div element called Spatial Query div contains the entire HTML part of showing this particular user input box, which is labeled as a Spatial Query. So let us understand the HTML part first. First of all, this segment contains a header element, and then this segment contains the user input related for the feature that I want to select. So you can see over here, this is the part, select the features of, and this is the select drop down box. It is coming from this particular section of the HTML part. Now second is providing the user inputs. So you can see that are within a distance of, this is the selection criteria, and for that this is the HTML part, and then this is related to providing user input in case of a buffer. So you can see over here 100 meter and unit, these are the two user input that user provides. So this is the HTML part covering this thing. Now you can see over here this user input related part I have enclosed within a buffer div element. Why? Because when the user selects intersecting, I want it to disappear, and when user select within distance, then only it should appear. So to enable that functionality, I have included it in a buffer div element. So this is how it has been designed, and then this is the user criteria. Now what is that criteria? Criteria is this point marker, line marker, or polygon marker. So that is the criteria that is coming up from this HTML part, and these are the three buttons. First button is related to user inputs based on which user is drawing on the screen. So this is the user input related button. This is run and clear button that are coming from this run and clear related inputs. So these are the three inputs buttons which are coming from the users. So this is the entire HTML code. It is a very simple code. So it is covering the entire dialog box like this. But then how it should be styled, that is coming from the CSS part. So you can see over here, I will start with the Spatial Query div. That is this entire dialog box. What is the size, what is the position, everything is coming from here. So position is absolute, and then displays none initially. So you can see over here, initially it will not display. So if I refresh the page, it is not displaying. It is displaying only when I click on this. So to keep it initially none, that is what I am doing. And then top, left, and width margin, font family, and then other styling related parameter. I am giving shadow to the box that is coming from here. And then user div select input and label related styling part. You can see it is defining how my Dropbox should look like, how my text box should look like, and all the labels how they should look like. They should look gray with what is the font. So all those styling part is coming from this area. This is this styling for you select input and label. Then for buffer distance and buffer units, it should be 100 width. You can see over here this input box is covering the entire dialog box, but here it is 100 and 100. So it is specifically defined so that they are displayed side by side. That configuration is coming from this styling part. And then user input related configuration, that is related to this. And when it is clicked, it should look pinkish. So see, if you can see, if I click it, the color will change. So that configuration is coming from this part. And then run and clear related configuration. So how that button should look. The run button is green with a black border, and clear button is slightly grayish with a black border. So that configuration, and it looks like this. So we have defined HTML part of it, we have done styling part of it, but ultimately when I click on the screen, it should do something. So for that we have to do JavaScript part of it. So let us go to that. So this is where the code is starting, Spatial Query related code. So first of all, first thing that I want to do is I have to add this particular button onto the screen, and it should function the way I want. When I click, it should open up a dialog box. When I click it again, it should remove the dialog box. At the same time, it should show that it has been clicked. So if I click here, it turns into green. When I click it again, it turns into blue normally. So that configuration is done here. You can see, first of all, I am creating a button element and I am assigning some image as per the working of that button, and then I am creating a div element, and this button is embedded as a child of this div element, and it is ultimately added to the toolbar. And then because of this configuration, it appears on the screen. At the same time, when I have defined the my div as a class, this class in styling part defines how it should be placed within this particular display area. It should be placed here. That configuration is done on my div styling part. Now to execute, when I click that button, what should happen? That part is starting from here. So you can see, first of all, I am defining buffer flag as a false, and then when the user clicks, I am toggling the buffer flag. So first of all, when I load the screen, it will be blue. When I click on it, it will change to green. So it is configured based on this buffer flag. So if the buffer flag is true, it will change to green based on this styling part. Now if the buffer flag is clicked and it is green, means that I want to run the buffer functionality. At that time, it will change the display style of Spatial Query div to block. You can see in HTML, this is the Spatial Query div which is covering the entire HTML part. So when I click this, it should open up this. This functionality is coming from this particular single line. Change it to block. And when I click it again, change it to none. So this is where it is configured. Now when I first click it, it should do this thing, add map layer list. Where it will add, I will show you here. So when I click it for the first time, it should load this particular drop down box, and it should add all the layers that are displayed within this display area. So this population of this drop down box with the name of the layers is coming from this particular code. So let us understand what I have written in that code. This is add layer list to Spatial Query. So what is happening is, first of all, if I am already having some content in it in the Dropbox, so this code will first of all clear the Dropbox, and then from the layer list it will add one by one all the layer names into the Dropbox. So this is where the code is executing. So when I click this thing, it will execute and populate these layers into this. So our first part is done. So I have selected the layer on which I want to fire a query. Now I want to do intersecting. So if I am doing intersecting, then these inputs are not required. So when I click intersect, again it should do something. So this is user input related element. So if you can see over here, if I select something in this query type intersecting, it should do something. So I have to write a code on change event of this query type. So let us see here. Let me find out query type. We will see where we have written this code. So here in this JavaScript, if I see, yes, so on this element, so I'm selecting that element, and an on change event, what I am doing is I am setting the display property of that particular div to block or none. Based on if it is within distance, then it should display that block. If it is other than within this distance, it should not display that block. So it is coming up from here. So this functionality of displaying and not displaying this particular input parameters is coming from this particular code. Now once that is done, so user has selected intersecting, and now if I keep this thing as a point marker, this button will function as a point, and it will allow me to add a point. At the same time, if I change it to line, it will allow me to add a line here, and if I change it to polygon, it will allow me to draw a polygon. So same button is functioning in 3 different ways based on the input parameters provided over here. So again, this thing, if you can see here, right now it is as a polygon. If I change it to point, it will clear this parameter and then again change the behavior of this. So you can see if I click point, it has cleared any user input provided earlier by the user, and it also changes the behavior of this particular button. So that particular code is available over here. You can see if a user has selected or made some changes in the selection criteria, I am calling this as a user source criteria. And in that, if user is making some change, then first of all it should change the behavior of that particular button, user input button. And now once user has selected the layer and then defined the intersecting, and then user has selected the line, so user has digitized a line on it, and then when user clicks on run button, it should do the job. What it should do, it should select this line element, and provide as the input to the intersecting function. So let us see the code of a run button. So let me take you to the run. So you can see over here query run. Now before taking you to the query run, let me show you what happens when user is providing the input. So when user is providing the input means either user will put up a point on the screen, user will put up a line on the screen or polygon. So whether user is putting up a line, point or polygon, it is adding an interaction to the screen, and let us see the code for that. So this is where actual data is captured, what input user has provided. So it is providing a user interaction to the map based on the user inputs, whether it is a point, line or polygon selected in this drop down. And then once the user interaction is done, means user has completed drawing whether a point, line or polygon on the screen. When the drawing ends, this particular code captures the geometry, point, line or polygon. In case of point, it will capture simply LatLong. In case of a line, it will capture series of LatLong. In case of a polygon, again it will capture series of LatLong with starting and ending point will be same. So this entire functionality happens over here, and in the marker feature it will have the geometry digitized by the user. Now once it is stored into the memory, actual run function will execute. So let us see the code for run button when it works. So let me find out the code for run button. So this is where, so if user is clicking on run button, on click event, it will perform various parameters. It will capture parameters like it will identify first of all selection layer, and then it will capture the user inputs, which layer user want to select, what is the criteria, intersecting, completely within or buffer distance, and then what is the value provided. At the same time, it has, you can see over here, coordinate list. So the marker feature which we have defined during the user input, it will get the geometry and it will get the coordinates, and all the coordinate list will be stored over here in case of a point. Similarly, in case of a line marker, it will loop through all the coordinates of the geometry and it will be stored in the coordinate list. In case of a polygon, again it will loop through all the coordinates and coordinates will be stored in the coordinate list. So once coordinate list is ready, then it will check whether it is a within distance. If it is a within distance, then it has to fire a query d within. If it is intersection, then it has to fire a query intersects, and if it is a completely within, then it has to fire a query within. See, there is a difference between d within and within. D within is for buffer, within distance, and within simple is completely within. So this is the query it has to prepare. So a URL will be prepared based on whether it is a within distance or intersection or completely within. So once a URL is ready, it will execute this function, add GeoJSON to map based on URL. So let us see this code, add GeoJSON to map. So now you can see over here, so it is checking whether already GeoJSON is added or not due to execution of some previous query. If some query is already executed and GeoJSON is there, it will remove the previous GeoJSON and then it will define new GeoJSON, and then it will fetch that GeoJSON from the map, from the Geoserver, and then it will add it to the map. So this is the actual magic happens. This is where it executes the query, request goes to the Geoserver, it fetches all the polygons which are intersecting with the user inputs, or it is fetching all the cities which are completely within from the user inputs, and then it is fetching in the form of GeoJSON and adding it to the map with a particular style. So style is also defined over here, and this is our code, where our code ends. So once the GeoJSON is added, it will fit the extent of the map based on the extent of the GeoJSON, and this is where it completes the execution of the function. So let us see again on the map how everything works together. So I will take you to the map. Let me refresh it once for all, and then I'm clicking on this. So a dialog box is appearing based on the user input. So I'm selecting cities that are completely within a particular polygon marker. So I'm clicking on this and I am digitizing a polygon on the screen. You can see I have digitized a polygon. Let me zoom in a bit so you can see clearly. So I have digitized a polygon which is available with the yellow color and shading. Now when I run this code, function is executing and it is selecting all the cities that are completely within as per our input. Completely within, it has selected cities that are completely within the polygon marker. So it is working perfectly as per our requirement. At the same time, if I perform intersecting query, and then here I will select the district, and then let me provide line as the input. So here I am providing line as the input. So you can see I can digitize any shape of a line, and when I run that query, it will execute the query, and you can see all the district polygons which are intersecting with this line are selected and highlighted. Now you can further extend this code to show a tabular format that which districts are selected in a table. You can extend this code to support that. We have already done this part of a code in our attribute query where it was showing a tabular details. So you can keep this thing as a homework. So with this functionality, we have completed adding a spatial query functionality with three major type of a spatial query, that is within distance, intersecting and completely within. So we will keep it up to this point. So we have entered. Now our web mapping application is quite exhaustive. Now only thing that is remaining is editing part. That is, we want to do editing of point, line and polygon feature on the web, right? So in our next video, we will add those functionality to our web mapping, and so it will become the completely comprehensive web mapping application. So thank you for watching. Keep subscribing, keep liking, share with your friends and colleagues who are also into the GIS and web mapping development. Thank you.